Welcome back. David Hertel in for Elias. Well, after a 5-year legal battle, one tenant who fought renoviction is getting compensated by a major developer. Carla White pays $400 a month for her rent for her apartment on St. Catherine Street East in front of Émilie Gamelin Park, where she lived for 11 years. But in 2019, she received a notice telling her to vacate following developer Mondev's purchase of the building. As a result, Mondev's project has been halted for the past 5 years as White has refused to move or agree to the terms offered by the company. Now, 5 years later, they finally negotiated a deal where she will receive a high-quality dwelling in one of Mondev's buildings at a rent which is affordable to her. To tell us more is Manuel Johnson, tenants' rights lawyer. Manuel, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning,
David.
So, did I make any mistakes in my intro? Is there anything that you want to correct or?
No,
factual.
No, yeah, that's it. You
want to make sure.
You summed it up. No, you summed it up very well.
When I'm in front of a fellow lawyer, I want to make sure my facts are straight.
There were some reports that said she had received financial compensation, but that was inaccurate. There was no financial compensation. It's just a place to live, a decent, affordable, safe place to live, which is what she was looking for from the beginning.
And no money from the developer to help her move or anything.
Well, there have been some accommodation for that. Part of the agreement is confidential.
Okay,
but
fair
there's
enough.
not a cash payout.
I see.
We'll put it that way.
Okay, fine.
There are measures to help her with the moving costs, but there's no lump sum cash payout.
5 years is a long, long time for anything, especially a battle like that. I mean, you're her lawyer, but how is she doing? I mean, how do you go through a battle like that? Because I can imagine there was a lot of pressure put on her to move, and it mustn't have been easy for her.
It was indeed an emotional roller coaster for her because the concerns about the future, the threats that, look, if you don't accept this offer, what you're going to get is 3 months rent and moving costs, which in her case would have come out to about $2,000. And I say that's a threat, but that's what the law provides for. So it wasn't exactly a threat. It was just the reality. So to go through all that, yes, I would say she's very relieved, but she's also exhausted. It wasn't a question of her putting financial resources in as well. Sometimes when we talk about lawyers, like, that must have cost a lot. We had the legal aid mandate. So, but it's the emotional energy, the sleepless nights.
Sure.
Even after we settled it, she didn't sleep a wink because it's just like kind of under shock, happy, relieved, but also still a bit angry that she had to go through all that. Because, as I said, of that hole in the law that says if you're going to tear down a building and displace tenants, you can give them the minimum, which is 3 months rent and the moving costs.
So walk me through that. I mean, what's the law? What was it in her situation that allowed her to stick to her guns? Of course, she had legal representation. That helps. But I mean, what is it in our system that allowed her to be able to wage this battle?
Yeah, you're right. Lawyers, we can't rewrite the law. We have to work with the law that's there. But actually, the law provides for two possibilities. So there's that strict minimum. It also allows municipalities to impose conditions before authorizing a demolition. So the city of Montreal had that power to say, look, if you want the demolition permit, here's what you need to do. There was ambiguity. It was a vague situation because the city, with all due respect, I think they wanted to kind of play on both fields. So they said, you have to take care of this tenant. You have to come to an agreement with her. But the city didn't tell us what the agreement should be. So when we have this kind of open interpretation, that's when we end up in front of the judge and in front of the court, and for many years of pleasure for the lawyers and stress and inconveniences for the parties. So that was, on the one hand, that gave us the possibility to make those arguments and say, well, this is our interpretation. But of course, the promoter came and said, no, our interpretation is different. And so that's why we were heading for another 2 or 3 years of legal battles.
Really? Before the courts?
Before the courts. So it was a very reasonable, is the best solution, reasonable solution. And I think Mondev showed that they had, for Ms. White at least, they were ready to make that move, and that's great. So we found a solution for Ms. White, but that hole in the law still exists, and I do think that these demolitions could become more prevalent. We're in a housing crisis, and the different levels of government are saying, okay, we want to favor new construction.
Yeah.
Where are we going to build these new buildings? There's not a lot of available land.
Well, there's
left.
a lot at Papineau and Laurier that's currently a mini golf.
Okay, there you go.
But no,
but
please
I
make your
think
point.
I think a lot of promoters are at once, because they're going to get tax credits, they might get subsidies from the government, so they can buy up these old buildings that are falling apart.
Yeah.
Displace the tenants. We as a society have to be sure that we're taking care of those tenants too. Those vulnerable tenants shouldn't pay the price for new development. Then we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. We want to solve the housing crisis, but if we're just putting people out on the street to make way for, and in this case, it's private housing. Is that really going to take the pressure off the rental market to build?
We're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot.
Exactly.
By doing something like that.
Exactly.
So right now, do I understand correctly? I mean, right now the rule or the accepted practice, you'll correct me here, but the developer can get away with just offering 3 months rent, and that's it.
That's what they're going to offer. The municipalities can impose conditions, but that's left up to the discretion
So each
of the municipalities.
Each municipality can have or not have rules.
Exactly. And if they don't have rules, it's the 3 months.
That's it.
If they have rules, then they decide, but it's on a case-by-case basis. And we know that municipalities also are under a lot of pressure for their own finances.
Of course.
And
they want the tax revenues of the new
these
developments.
new developments are, filling up the tax coffers.
Sure.
So it's hard for a municipality to block a project and deprive themselves of that new revenue, which they want to use to clean up the streets and do the snow removal and all the other services that citizens are asking for. Say, okay, we want to help this one tenant, and we're going to deprive ourselves of hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars in tax revenue. So that's why I think there should be one rule that applies. If you're going to displace a tenant with a demolition, you should have to rehouse that tenant at equal or ideally better conditions. Why shouldn't everyone benefit from the development?
Very interesting point there. Manuel Johnson, tenants' rights lawyer. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you for the invitation.